Is my screen camera weird or am I weird? Hi, I'm Amy. Who knows? Maybe it's both. This is Timothy. That was his wing. He's standing right on my computer while I'm recording. Hooray. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm an autistic teacher, parent, and parenting coach on a mission to make homeschools and workplaces kinder and gentler for all neurotypes. Just took off my Band-Aid. Don't you know? So hi. Welcome. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. I am going to be talking about, I talk about like autistic-y things, parenty things, school teachy things, you know, just kind of that sort of stuff. Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about a Reddit post, and it's going to be to do with the separation because I don't know, I just feel like it. I teach social emotional courses. I have an anti-bullying course. If you're interested in any of that, there is a link for you to book a meeting with me for free, and we can chat about what's going on with you. If you're interested in our Confident Bully-Proof Kids course, you can book with our educational liaison, Daniel. Figure out how we can support your organization in building confident bully-proof kids and parents and teens and tweens. My kids are hitting the tween phase real hard. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read a Reddit post. So this is a person asking for advice as to whether they're the jerk in the situation or not. And I will interrupt myself as I'm reading. So the question is, am I the jerk for telling my son's mom he's staying with me while he recovers? So the son is recovering from a thing. There we go. Okay, Timothy. I have to show you a picture of Timothy. He's so funny when he sits, because he sometimes sits like I have a ring light, and he sometimes sits right in the middle. And he looks like an evil bird villain. It's so great. Hi. He just stares at me with this like ring of light behind him. Anyway, you're hilarious. Yes, you. Okay, but now we're good. Sometimes I just do what he does. I'm autistic. Did I tell you that? Yes. So I sometimes just like mimic what people do. Just because of a thing. I had a very autistic moment earlier today. Someone was asking me how I feel. And they showed me a bunch of pictures, feel about like a certain thing. It's like, how do you feel about this? And there was a person with their phone in their hand like this and kind of looking at it. And I was like, well, I don't feel that because I don't have my phone in my hand. And then I was like, then I told them, I was like, that's a very autistic answer. I don't feel that because I don't have my phone in my hand. Clearly, I don't feel that. Anyway, okay, here we go. Am I the jerk for telling my son's mom that he's staying with me while he recovers? My 9-year-old son needed hip bone osteoma surgery, and his mom and I scheduled it before his 3-week winter break. My ex and I share 50-50, but I get him on winter break so she could take him out of state to see her family in the summer. So I'm assuming it's dad. Dad gets the son for 3 weeks in winter break, and he has a surgery, and they scheduled it right before the winter break, presumably for the least amount of disruption. The day before the surgery, she asked me if the son could stay at her place to recover from the surgery. I asked her why, and all she said was she just wanted to be there. I said no. Rai has never had surgery, or the son had never had surgery, and it's a big deal for him. I don't want him to think that the first thing you do when you face something scary is to run to your mom and not your dad. Okay, so this is interesting. I don't hate this. I don't like the day before the surgery, I don't think is the right time to be planning recovery plans. hopefully you will have planned those things like far in advance. I had foot surgery, which is not nearly as invasive as hip surgery, just the end of your body. And so it limits mobility and whatnot, but it's not like the middle of your body like the hip is, where it will impact a lot more of your body. And even then, I had a plan for, I'm going to be like, literally, I'm going to be in this room because this has, access to the bathroom. And then I'm going to mostly stay in that room. And then the other, with the kids and everything else. I don't know. The day before the surgery seems a little bit recent to be talking about the recovery plans. I don't hate that the dad says, I don't want the first thing is to go to your mom. It seems like they both want to care for the kid. And I don't know why we would prefer one home over the other. I guess to me, the thing would be, why aren't you talking about the space? Like, to me, that would be the part that would make the most sense to talk about. Like, who has a better setup? If you're divorced parents, like co-parenting a child, say, like, I live in a little apartment. So to me, that would make more sense for a recovery place of a child versus my ex's house, which has stairs in it. If you're recovering from hip surgery, it would sort of stand to reason that the least amount of stairs and the least amount of like movement would be the best. And so I guess I'm curious as to why they're only talking about like, I want to be the dad that's supporting the recovery and not the mom. Like, I would be more interested in actually in the space. Like, I actually think they should pick based on who has a better space to recover from surgery. Okay, so the mom says, can he rest at my place? Dad says no, because I don't want you to go to your mom when it's something scary and not your dad. And on the face of this, I actually think there might be some validity here. I could see a dad being frustrated about this, the perception, and possibly he's taken this kid out and the kid's, people asking the kid, like, where's your mom or something like that. Like, I could see there being a little bit of animus related to being your dad and being a supportive person. So I could see how he has his shackles up. I know the term is hackles up, but I say shackles. So you just have to live with that. So I told her meaning mom, I told her I was quite insulted by her request. Plus, he was going to need help getting dressed, undressed, and bathed for the first couple of days, and I highly doubt he'd be comfortable having his mom do that. This is where I think it sort of starts going off the rails a little bit. Because he's 9, and that's like, I don't know, a 9-year-old recovering from hip surgery is not going to worry about the gender of the parent. Unless there's some kind of weird dynamics going on. I guess I just don't know why they're having this kind of pissing contest in the first place. I don't think he should be insulted by her request. I think he's responding with a lot of emotion. Okay, so now we're like ramping up emotionally. Now we're like increasing our emotional stakes here. Before it was just like, can I do this? Well, no, because, I want to be the dad that is caring for the child and it's my time anyway. So, I'm just going to take him. But now we're upping the stakes. I told her no, he's having the surgery and I'm taking him to my house when he's released. I don't care if she's in the operating room. So he's kind of doubling and tripling down on these emotional stakes. Is kind of saying, like, I don't care if you're there, I'm going to be there and I'm taking him home. I don't think this is, like, we're getting off the rails here. I was kind of on his side initially, because I actually don't mind his rationale initially, that dads can be caregivers just like moms. Or like dads can be as qualified of a caregiver as a mom, just like on the face of it. I think that's a fine rationale. But he's really building a wall here. If I were giving these parents advice, I would just say, everyone just chill out. This is stressful. Having a 9-year-old going in for hip surgery is hella stressful. I have a 9-year-old. And I would be losing my mind if they were going for surgery. That would occupy my brain like 24/7. So I can totally appreciate the emotional level where they're at. Also, is osteoma, is that cancer? It's a piece of bone usually growing on another piece of bone. Bone tumor is what they call it. So it doesn't look like it's cancer. A bone growing on bone, that seems bad and hard to fix. It seems like you will need the drills and they're like heavy duty. You'll need Dr. Torres for the Grey's Anatomy fans. This is like a Dr. Torres job with their always, those scenes always make me laugh in Grey's Anatomy because everyone else is like, you got Dr. What's his name? McDreamy. And he's doing like in the brain, like so delicate, and he's talking. He actually, I will say, I find him annoying as a character, but I will say him in the operating room, I buy it fully. He sells it. He's like, okay, now I'm gonna do this, and now I'm gonna do this, and now I'm gonna do this. I'm like, I'm here for this. I like the McDreamy as a surgeon moments. But then Dr. Torres, so we got McDreamy, and Dr. Torres is like, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre over here. It's just funny. And I'm here for it. And I love Shonda Rhimes. Anyway. So, but it's definitely a Dr. Torres one. And that means there's going to be a ton of recovery. Don't eat that. So it's definitely a Dr. Torres surgery, which means there's going to be a ton of recovery time. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we are. So I don't care if you're in the operating room. That's mean. Don't say mean stuff to your ex. You like them enough to produce a human child with them, so don't be mean to them for no reason. That's mean. Just don't be mean. She then asked if I could see him at my place, and I said no. The agreement is we have scheduled FaceTime with him when he's at the other parent's house. I don't want my ex-wife in my home any more than she wants me in hers. If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd understand whether I liked it or not. Yeah, and this is, I think, where he fully falls into that jerk territory, where it's like, he's denying her to see the child after his surgery to make sure he's okay. And also he's denying his child to see his mom, like other parent. We can take gender out of it. He's denying the child to see the other parent in person after a freaking surgery. This is petty, like for no good reason. And the reason is that he doesn't want his ex-wife in his house. Which is, do exes not go into each other's houses? I do all the time. Do other exes not do that? Comment below. Do you know of, like, if you're an ex with children, do you go, hi, do you want to come up? Do you go into other people's house? Like, do you go into your ex's house? And if you're not an ex, do you know of exes and do they go into each other's houses? So I just had my youngest birthday party and we had it at my ex's house because his place is bigger. Like my parents were there, his girlfriend was there, everyone was there. Because that is the child's party and that's who she wants at the party. So I guess I just don't understand. I feel like that's a weird line to draw because if the child wants to see the parents together and went, hi, I don't know if you can see, he's down here. No, he can't. I just look like I'm putting my chest at the camera. Sorry. Also, is it best for the child that the parents be like, you can't come into my house ever because of blah, blah, blah? I don't know. I think that's weird. Maybe the ex-wife has criticized his housekeeping, so maybe he feels self-conscious about it. I still think probably a surgery trumps that. The question he asked was, telling my son's mom he's staying with me while he recovers. And I don't think he's a jerk for that. I think that is what it is. Like, he's got to be at some place, and so it's like, he's got to be somewhere. So I don't actually have an issue with that. What I take issue with, and I would say what most of the commenters here take issue with as well, is that he's preventing the mom from like physically visiting him. The issue with FaceTime when you're recovering from surgery too is like, how dopey is he going to be? And is he going to be engaged? Like, it's hard to engage with a screen when you're recovering from like anesthesia. He might be really dopey. And so it might, like, the mom almost just may want to reassure herself that the son is fine. And so just to visit and see, even if he's sleeping, right? Because if the dad is like, well, he's sleeping, he's not going to FaceTime with you, then that's a stress for the mom, because then she can't see her child at all. So it sort of requires that the child be awake and cogent, because it's really unlikely the dad would be like, yeah, sure, I'll FaceTime with him while he's sleeping. Like, here he is while he's sleeping. And hopefully he doesn't wake him up for a FaceTime. That would be silly. When he's recovering from a surgery, don't wake him up. As a mom, I would be super happy to go, or as a parent, non-gender descript, to just see my child sleeping when they're recovering from surgery. I would be totally happy with that. Just to see that they're okay and they're breathing, to watch their chest go up and down, you know, make sure they're breathing okay and they seem comfortable and, you know, everything seems fine. This pettiness is like bad for the child. And then this line, if the shoe was on the other foot, then I'd understand whether I liked it or not. It's just like crappy. I don't know, when people say stuff like that, well, I would understand. I wouldn't like it, but I would understand. I mean, I kind of can appreciate they're trying to be a little bit empathetic, but it's like, that's such a bleak worldview. Why wouldn't you say something like, I would prefer to visit my child after they had recovered? Like, it would be super important for me to visit my child after they'd recovered from surgery. So I'm going to prioritize my ex to be able to do that. I don't know, this sort of worldview to say, well, I would understand even if I didn't like it, so I'm just going to do whatever I'm going to do regardless. It's just like crappy, and it makes me sad that that's your worldview. Don't have that as your worldview. And then the OP goes on to say, I held firm and things have been tense between us ever since. Personally, I don't care because I'm not apologizing for not giving her what she wanted. Okay, well, okay. Like, I don't think you need to apologize. Like, I don't know why people think apologizing is like the solution. In this phrase, like, I'm not apologizing for not giving her what she wanted is like also crappy, because it's not about what she wants or it's not what the parents want. It's about what's best for the kid. And I would say to have visits from the parent, like to be able to see both parents, is what's best for the kid. I would also say it is best for the kid to have the mom or the other parent not freaking out and worried about their kid after surgery because they've been blocked from like seeing them. That's like a tremendous emotional stress, and that's going to be like hurtful and harmful. So the response, people being really vitriolic, you know, as they are wont to do on Reddit. A lot of people are saying you should let the kid decide, which I don't agree with because the kid is 9. And he actually adds an edit, no, my son doesn't get to decide who he gets to stay with and when and for how long. That's why there are custody agreements. Although I would be surprised, well, maybe not surprised, because I don't think there's one in mind for like surgery recovery. It feels like there should be some sort of provision for the non-custodial parent at the time to be able to physically see the child. I mean, I sort of low-key agree with him on this. My son doesn't get to decide who he stays with and for how long. Oops. Timothy, what did you do? Timothy, you did something. Am I still recording as Sam? People are hung up on this like the son should decide where he's going. And I don't think that's the most reasonable take. A 9-year-old going into surgery, that's stressful for them to think about where they want to be, and especially with this like emotional climate of the parents. I mean, there's no way this hasn't like filtered into his consciousness, this like spitefulness between the parents. The top response says, you're the jerk, she's concerned about her son. and you turned it into a power play. And I kind of agree with that. And I think the evidence in support of that is his last statement saying, I'm not apologizing for not giving her what she wanted. So he's seeing it as the mom, like his ex, seeing like that's what she wanted, and I'm not going to give her what she wants. And that's like a crappy way to do business as a co-parent. Don't do that. Don't just like go against what the other person wants just because that's what they want. I would also say there's probably more nuance to this, like, what does the kid want question. I don't know that I would ask the kid. I'm trying to think. Would I ask my 9-year-old where they want to recover? I might actually. Now that I think about it, it's not about like where do you want to be for custody. It's like where do you want to recover? Because probably, honestly, it's going to come down to what video games they have at different places. Like, I want to go to dad's because he has Minecraft, or I want to go to mom's because they have whatever. Like, it's honestly going to be like who has the most video games. Or who has like a TV in the room. It might be whose care do I want, but more than likely it's going to be who has the pets I want to hang out with and who has the video games I want to play. There's some validity to that. I would say that's valid. Why not, right? 9-year-olds can use whatever decision-making criteria they choose. And if that's the thing that's most important to them, I think that's valid, or like, for example, if my kiddo really wanted to play Minecraft on my laptop, I might bring my laptop over and like bring it to but she was at like my ex's, I might just like lend him the laptop for the, recovery time so that the kid could play Minecraft on the laptop. And when your egos are getting involved, when it's like, no, I'm going to not give you what you want because I hate you. Well, that makes life difficult. What time is it? 10:33. Why are you giving me this random reminder? What a weird time for a reminder. Anyway, oh well. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I think the comfort and well-being of the child should come first over the spitefulness towards his ex. That's the driving force behind these decisions, just based on his tone and his, like, the way he presents things. Something that was surprising to me in terms of my own journey as a separated parent is how much like good faith effort you still have to put in to communicate if you want a functional co-parenting relationship. And I found a couple of times I've even said like, this hurts my feelings, when you do this, which I didn't really think I would do as a separated parent. I would say a thumbs down for this behavior. I think he should have taken, so my advice had I been meeting with him would be to say, take a beat. You are centering yourself and your own feelings and your own spitefulness, and just take a beat and think about what are we centering actually, what's actually best for the child. I don't think the child should be the one to decide how they recover from a surgery fully, because a 9-year-old just can't understand that. That's not their job. And so I agree with him about a couple of things. I agree about that dads can be comforting. And I agree that it shouldn't be like the child should not be the one like making decisions. I think they can give input. And I think that's very useful. I think a lot of times I see this just a lot, not just in parenting, just in life in general. People sort of like shunt conversations by like saying, well, it's either this or this, so pick one. And it's like, but why don't we just explore it? Let's not look at what the end options might be, because there might be more other options that we're not thinking about. And if we just say, well, pick A or B, the end, we're not fully exploring. And I see that a lot, and it makes me sad, because I just want, like, my encouragement is to spend more time exploring, especially with parents. Well, where do you want your birthday party? Do you want it here or here? That's a fine question, but it's like, what do you want at your birthday party? Or oftentimes when kids come up and be like, I want this, or I want to do this, they come up with kind of an end goal, right? And I think instead of saying yes or no to that right away, I think, oh, hi friend, you're done bugging the finches? I think it's worth it to say, what do you like about that idea? What do you like about this? What do you want here? What's attractive to you here? And then once you know, for example, like if they say, I want to go to the zoo or whatever, or I want my birthday party at the zoo. And then you're like, okay, well, why? Tell me what you want about a birthday party at the zoo. What is attractive to you about that? What do you want? And then maybe they're like, well, because I like, baby chicks or something. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know that the zoo actually has those, but what about like a petting zoo kind of a thing, where we could get like some baby chicks to visit us, or when maybe we have a friend who has some backyard chickens. Maybe we could have a birthday party in their backyard with their baby chicks. Or maybe there's like a hatching, those like hatching incubators that we could get for like the weeks leading up, depending on what season, right? Don't do it out of season because it's like, well, you just won't be able to. So, but if it's the right season, or you could have like a baby chick themed birthday party or whatever, right? Like kids sometimes are bad at like picking, like they think they want what they want, but they are not always the best at getting what they want effectively. So sometimes it's not what they ask for isn't even always what they want. Sometimes it is. I don't generally trust kids for endpoint decisions. Those are generally grown-up decisions. Recognizing kids don't have the breadth of lived experience that adults have. And it can be a big role to be making decisions for themselves. So I really don't encourage kids to make like custody decisions. That is stressful, and that is not a kid decision most of the time. There's other considerations, and I'm not a custody judge. That's super far outside of my like purview. So I'm not really all that interested in getting into like the nitty-gritty of custody, but I would just say developmentally for a child. And again, not a diagnostician, not a doctor, not a psychiatrist, psychologist, judge, lawyer. I am a teacher, but I would say in general, when I see anxiety behaviors, I sometimes see that child has taken on adult problems. Honestly, I had to set out really, really hard. That was one of my goals in my separation, was to set out super hard the distinction between adult problems and kid problems. And adult problems are for the adults and the kid problems are for the kids. And when the kids start getting involved in the adult problems, because they want to fix it, right? And it felt mean. It felt really mean. I will just give you it might feel mean when you have to set that boundary super hard. So like my oldest really wanted us to get back together and was asking me like, how could you and dad get back together? Like, what could we do? What could you do? How could you get back together? And I was like, I appreciate that like problem solving approach. And I think that's like laudable. But I had to say, no, this is not a kid problem, and I need you to stop. And it felt super mean and super cutting off. I think a lot of parents try to like involve their kids in these conversations as a way to like maintain like honesty or like an open set of communications. But there's things that kids shouldn't have access to. And I would say the end of a marriage is one of them. If it's just a breakdown of the marriage, that's a grown-up problem. And well, why did you and dad break up? Because you can get back together, because you got together once, so you could do it again, and that sort of stuff. And it's like none of that is wrong. And they're not wrong for saying that. It's just outside of their developmental stage. It's just such like, we don't want our kids parent trapping this. This is developmentally inappropriate for the child to take on. And yet this is what we see, right? In movies and TV, we see the kids oftentimes getting involved in these like adult romantic relationships in a developmentally inappropriate ways. Like that does not need to be on the kids' landscape. So I actually told my kiddo like, hey, so your job is to be a kid. Your job is to eat good food, to go to sleep, drink lots of water, exercise, to do all of these really great things for your health, the health of your body and the health of your mind. And my job as the grown-up, as your parent, is to deal with all this stuff with daddy. Okay, daddy and I still love you both very, very much. And your job is to be as healthy as you can of a child and try not to think about this. I know it's hard and I know you're trying to solve this problem, but I need you to understand this is a grown-up problem and we are going to be here to support you as your parents. We're here to support you at every step of the way and we are always going to be your parents. Don't just like go against what your ex wants just because that's what your ex wants. Think about what is best for the kid. How do we best support the kid? This is an ego-driven point of view. And egos are not our best way to make good choices for our children. We need to kind of put the ego here and just kind of let it be what it is. You go, I see you. I see you, ego. I hear you saying that you should get what you want and stick it to them because they hurt your feelings. And I am going to say, no, thank you. That is not good reasoning. So take a beat. But yeah, I would also, I'm a little bit annoyed at the mom in this situation too, for asking them to switch their plans like the day before the surgery. I would also, I would react quickly. I would react against that. If it's like, how about we change everything the day before? I would be like, no. We've been planning this for weeks. I would be annoyed. So I can also see that's annoying. And especially if she's going, well, I'm the mom and you're the dad, so I should care for the child. That's also a crappy way of engaging. So I don't think either of them is I think they're both being ego driven. It's hard. And I'm, honestly willing to give them both a pass. Now that I think about it, I'm actually a little bit more inclined to give him a bit more leeway because the mom brought this up super close to the time. I kind of would tell someone to pound sand too if they asked me to change all of the plans the day before a scheduled surgery. I would be annoyed. You know what? I'm going to soften it a little bit. I think Reddit is going off on this guy. And I would be annoyed. I would be like, no, we made this agreement. We made this decision. Why are you asking me to switch? For no good reason. It's not like there was a flood at his house or something and it became uninhabitable. It's just that she felt like that. And it's that's also kind of a crappy way. He should have let her see the kid. But he's not under any obligation to change the plans just because mom says that she wants him because she's the mom. That's a crappy way of engaging too. Yes, they should have both been allowed to have seen the child and care for the child. Yes, the ex-wife the mom should have been allowed to come into the house and see the child and care for the child. Why does she not have visiting hours? Why are they not you can come from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, come hang out with the kid, read a book, bring some presents, bring a balloon? How special would that have been for the kid to have been oh, mom's visiting at 2 o'clock, bringing some stuff. And every day she could come in and bring some little dollar store trinkets. That kind of stuff would be so great instead of just having dad who's exhausted, That's the value of actually having 2 parents in 2 different households, is that the one that doesn't have the kids is well rested and they can bring energy to the situation. So it's just him kind of shooting himself in the foot as well to be you can't come. But that was not the option that was taken. Instead, we just decided to build a super hard wall in between each other and not work together. So there's lots of, and that's why I'm saying if the question is, would you rather be a mom's or dad's? We're missing a lot of these different options that might be sorry, there's bird feathers floating around. Okay. By just shunting that conversation and be do you want to be a mom's or dad's? It's not the right it's not the right thing developmentally, but also it's what about if he wants to see mom? What if mom wants to visit? Bring some balloon. We love bringing balloons, and they get well soon, and helium, and just bring your pillar of balloons, and bring their favorite cookies or whatever. Make it a deal, make it a big deal, and then they get some balloons, and it's so festive and not festive. That's the wrong word, but more joyful. than it would be otherwise. You know, and mom gets to hang out and we can bring a book to read, we can bring a game to play. Like there's so many more options than just A or B most of the time. And when we just kind of go, well, this or this, we just lose touch with the possibilities of what it could be. And I think separated parenting is even more important to examine the possibilities and explore the options and what could be and how can we work together to make this the best time for our kid. Thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for you today. I am so glad you are here. I'm so glad that I'm here. Remember that you are so valuable. It's okay to be who you are, and you are loved. Yeah, and Timothy says so too. If you found this content meaningful in your life, I would love it if you would consider liking or subscribing. Or you can always leave me a comment and tell me which part of this story tips it for being a jerk or not being a jerk. What do you think? What's your evidence and what's your conclusion? You can follow me on socials. You can book a meeting with me down below. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you and chatting with you real soon. Bye. Bye. So those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you would like. Okay, I'm going to try that again. And that's always super fun. Sorry, as I'm talking, I'm like, okay, this is all going to get cut out. And Timothy, I'm having a hard time seeing this. Oh, you're getting a beautiful view of my forehead right now. There. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, just one sec. Where was it? I had a tab open on my computer. Okay. Here it is. So, okay.